Welcome to Off-Grid Shop Oregon, where we do semi-manly stuff, like refill small propane canisters, use pneumatic nail guns, all sorts of fun stuff. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks. Okay, I want to fill up some small 1-pound propane tanks from a large tank. Things to notice, some of these small ones have a plastic bottom, some of them have a metal bottom. Here's a adapter that goes from a large tank to a small tank. You can get them on Amazon for about $7-8. And here's a kitchen scale, also from Amazon. I think they cost maybe about in the 10 to 20 range. So that's kind of what you need to get going. I got this tank at a garage sale because my other tank was empty, which cost maybe $10 to fill. And so I got this tank full at a garage sale for like $8, and I'm never gonna try and fill it. It's old, it's funky, but it's a double-sized tank. So, you know, there's like $20 worth of propane there, and for $8. And then maybe I'm gonna cut this tank up and make it into a forge for blacksmithing someday. Okay, so if you look at these metal, this is the metal base one. You can see that it holds 16.4 ounces. And we want to know how much it weighs. So it weighs a little over 16 ounces empty. And so you can see I wrote down, I got a slightly different number, but I wrote down how much they weigh empty. They tell you how much propane they're supposed to hold, which is 16.4 ounces. And then you can know how much you're looking for total after you've filled it. Now, full-size propane tanks, like a normal one, is a 5-gallon tank, and those ones you're only supposed to fill to 80%. But these small ones, they've already taken into account, you know, how much you're supposed to fill them so you don't overfill them, and that is the 16 ounces that they mentioned there, 16.4. All right, let's talk a little bit about liquid propane and and the gas propane that you use. So these tanks, the liquid falls to the bottom. So let's just imagine that this tank is full to this line I randomly drew on here. So then you got liquid below that point, and you got vapor, gas, above that point. So, you know, so you hook this to your stove or whatever, you're getting gas. And as you burn the gas, actually the liquid part goes down, and then you get more gas on the top part. So that's why you have to turn these suckers upside down to fill the little tanks. Now, years ago, man, I wish I had this to this day, but I bought another propane tank that was full at a garage sale, and it was spewing liquid propane out of it. And no, here's the main, and that part wasn't terrible, but anyways, the main thing was that the ones that have liquid coming out of them have different fittings, and so nothing I had fit on it. I think it was before I was buying stuff on Amazon. Probably could have just bought something. And so I gave it, and they're for forklifts and stuff like that. So I just gave it to my buddy who had a forklift. But I wish I had that one back, because that one you could leave upright. What it has is like a tube that goes down to the bottom. And so it takes the liquid out of the bottom, even though the top part is getting more full of gas. So if you ever have one of those forklift propane tanks, those things will make it a lot easier. If you get the right adapters, you probably have to spend $20 on brass fittings. Okay, so I got my propane tank upside down here. Got my adapter on there. I put it on this piece of wood because it's kind of hard to reach in there and turn that handle. I got a wrench so that I can hold this thing steady as I put the tanks on and off. All right, let's go for it. Oh, and I've got a little Allen wrench that fits in the top of the tank, because you're going to have to relieve some pressure as you go. You basically have to kind of fill this thing in maybe about 3 steps. I'll show you. Okay, so there's 2 Schrader valves on these things, and I'm just going to relieve the pressure from the top part here using my Allen wrench. You want to have as low a pressure as possible. Some people, I guess, put these things in a freezer and put the tanks in like warm water, but I'm not going that crazy. Let's try and screw this thing on here. If I had this to do over again, I think I'd buy the other kind of adapter. I got the female adapter that's easy to go on for the big tank, but I think I'd buy the other one because then maybe I wouldn't have to hold this sucker with a wrench. But if I don't have this wrench here and I keep turning this thing right and left, it'll just unscrew the other end. You know what I mean? Okay, so now we're gonna open the tank. I'm sure you won't be able to hear it, but it'll make a little sound as it's putting propane in there. Remember, the liquid propane is on the bottom and the gas part is on the top. And so we're just going to let this, going to leave that on there until it stops making a sound. And let's check what our numbers were. So this is the metal bottom one. So empty, it was 16 ounces. We're going to add 16 ounces roughly of propane. So we're heading towards about 32. So we're going from 16 to 32 if we're lucky. Put your ear down there and you can hear it. Okay, that's probably good. So you have to turn off the valve on the main tank. And then you have to take the little propane tank out of the adapter. Because if you took the adapter off, it would just be shooting propane out of the little one. Basically, if you take it off wrong, you might get propane shooting out of the big one or the little one. But if you do it like this, you're all right. And a little bit of propane comes out, but not too bad. Okay, so let's check our weight. So we are at 24. Grab the camera here. Okay, so we're at 24 roughly. We started with 16, so I guess we've gained 8 ounces, and we need to get another 8 ounces in there. Okay, let me show you the next step. Okay, so we got our 8 ounces of liquid propane added here, but this thing has kind of repressurized itself, and so it's not going to want to accept propane unless you relieve some of that pressure. So take your Allen key. I don't know. I just counted to 6. I don't know. I'm sure there is a right amount. I don't know what the correct amount is. But that just relieves some pressure so you can put in some more. Okay. Do our second batch here. And I don't know. Basically, it's up to you. You know, if you want to take them to absolutely full, or, you know, if I get close, if I'm like an ounce under or something, that was obviously fine for me. I'm not taking these things out backpack camping where you need where every ounce counts. Here in Oregon, it's hot as heck in the summer. Like right today, it's going to be, you know, close to 100. And so I have an outdoor portable oven that I use these things in. So if I want to cook something in an oven, I don't want to heat up the house. So so that's what I've been using these guys for. So no skin off my nose to just come out and fill one up a little bit extra often. No big deal. All right, stop making noise. kind of numbers we get here. Take you on in. All right, so we're at 31 ounces now. Yeah, and we were heading towards 32 and a half. That's plenty good for me. You know, you could really try and micromanage it to get it perfect, but basically there you go. That's how it's done. I guess here we are. At the very end, we'll talk about safety, right? You got to do this outdoors. Probably should have said that up front. Anyways, these old mini tanks are old. I mean, they're 15 years old unless they're 30 years old. And so I've had it ones where they kind of leak, which is bad. Like if you stored it in a building and it leaked, that could be terrible. So what I like to do is spray soapy water on them. And if they create bubbles, those are propane bubbles, and you got a problem. And then what I do is after, I check them for a while, I see that they're not leaking, I blow off the soapy water, and I hit them with WD-40 so that they don't rust, now that you put water on them. Okay, and one other thing. So here's what they look like on the inside, just as you would expect. I painted it black. Here's the top of one. And they make kind of like a good, maybe not a pencil holder. They're a little too deep for a pencil holder, but they make like a good, maybe you could put your files in there or your screwdrivers or something. I want to make a video. Next time I have a tank that leaks, I'll show you how you fill these things with water so that there's no propane in there, and then you can start cutting them and stuff, because obviously if they had even a drop of propane in them and there was a spark, you'd have you know what you'd have. And it's very hard to get these things full with water to the very top. I'll make a video on that sometime. The reason why is because of this little doohickey there. That's pretty much your access to get stuff in and out, and it gets airlocked like every time. It is so difficult. All right, that's some other video. Okay, talking about the weights made me curious. So here's your standard 5-gallon, 20-pound propane tank that you get refilled at the gas station. But it's interesting, if you look at the label, in the old days they didn't have no label. Anyways, you look at the label, it says 15 pounds. And that's because you're not supposed to fill a 20-pound one up with 20 pounds worth of propane. You're supposed to always have a gap for the vapor. So that's interesting. 80% should be 16 pounds. So I guess Blue Rhino's a little bit afraid. They're like, only put 15 pounds in here, please, Mr. Propane Man at the gas station. The heck, let's show it all. Here's my little Brinkmann outdoor oven. There's one of those tanks. Here's what I'm going to cook. Some bacon. If you see over there in the corner, that's the bacon fat that's settled from the last time I cooked bacon. There's nothing harder to clean than a pan that's been used to cook bacon. So I like to try and cook bacon in a pan like that several times before I go and clean the sucker.